There was once a small, lively town called Alma Hills. People there loved to celebrate and wear beautiful clothes. But no one knew that something dark was about to happen. One evening, a street vendor set up a shop in the marketplace. No one had seen him before, and no one knew where he came from. He was an old man with piercing eyes and a crooked smile. In his stall, among other things, was a beautiful red dress. It was the most stunning dress anyone had ever seen. It shimmered under the sunlight as if it had its own light. The vendor placed it on a mannequin outside his stall, and everyone who passed by stopped to stare. The women in the town whispered to themselves. They had never seen a dress so perfect. But the vendor only smiled and waited. The first woman who couldn't resist the dress was a young lady named Jessica. She was tall, elegant, and loved beautiful things. When she saw the red dress, she felt an instant connection. "How much is this dress?" she asked the vendor, her eyes wide with excitement. The old man smiled but shook his head. "The dress is not for sale," he said softly. "It must be given, not bought." Jessica was confused. "Then give it to me," she said, half joking. The vendor's eyes twinkled. He took the dress off the mannequin and handed it to her. "Take it," he said, "but wear it only when the moon is high." Jessica laughed and took the dress home. She couldn't wait to wear it. That night, the moon was full and bright. Jessica remembered the old man's words and decided to wear the dress. The moment she slipped into it, something strange happened. A cold shiver ran down her spine, and for a second, she felt dizzy. But she ignored it. She admired herself in the mirror. The dress fit her perfectly, as if it was made just for her. Excited, she twirled around, feeling like a queen. But then, the lights flickered. The air grew cold. A whisper echoed in her room, though she was alone. Jessica's heart pounded. "Who's there?" she whispered, but no one answered. Suddenly, the room went dark, and before she could scream, she vanished. The next morning, Jessica's mother knocked on her door. There was no answer. She knocked again. Still nothing. Worried, she pushed the door open. The room was empty. Jessica was gone. The red dress lay neatly on the bed, as if it had never been worn. Panic spread through the town. No one knew where she had gone. Some people whispered that she had run away. Others believed something terrible had happened. But no one knew the truth. Days passed, and the town slowly moved on. The vendor's stall was still in the market, and the red dress was back on display. This time, another woman, Angela, saw it. She was a trader, bold and confident. She had heard about Jessica's disappearance but didn't believe in silly stories. "Nonsense," she muttered as she admired the dress. "How can a dress make someone disappear?" The vendor smiled as she reached for the dress. "Wear it only when the moon is high," he reminded her. Angela smirked. "I'll wear it whenever I want." She took the dress and left. That night, Angela couldn't wait to show off her new dress. She had a friend's birthday party to attend, and what better way to impress everyone than by wearing the most stunning dress in town. She slipped into the red dress and admired herself in the mirror. It fit her perfectly, hugging her body like a second skin. Jessica probably ran away with a man, Angela muttered to herself. There's no such thing as a cursed dress. With that, she grabbed her purse and headed out. At the party, all eyes were on Angela. The dress sparkled under the lights, making her look like royalty. People gasped and complimented her. She smiled proudly. But then, something strange happened. The music faded for a brief second. The candles flickered. The air grew ice cold. Angela felt a chill run down her spine. A shadow moved across the room, though no one else seemed to notice. Her throat went dry. She turned to her friend. "Did you see that?" she asked. Her friend frowned. "See what?" Angela shook her head. Maybe she was imagining things. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "You should have listened." The party continued, and Angela tried to ignore the strange feeling. But the whispers began. Soft at first, then louder. Voices calling her name. She turned sharply, but there was no one there. Suddenly, the floor beneath her felt unsteady. Her vision blurred. The walls seemed to be closing in. Panic gripped her. "I need to go home," she muttered, rushing out of the party. As soon as she stepped outside, the whisper stopped. The air felt normal again. She took deep breaths. Maybe she had too much to drink. But then she looked down. The dress was glowing. Her heart pounded. No, 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 she whispered, trying to pull it off. But it wouldn't budge. It clung to her skin like it was part of her. A strong force pulled her backward. And just like Jessica, Angela vanished. The town was in shock. 2 women had disappeared in the same mysterious way. Some people said it was a curse. Others thought they had been kidnapped. But one thing was certain, both had worn the same red dress. The town elders gathered. This is no ordinary dress, one of them warned. Something evil is inside it, but no one knew what to do. Meanwhile, the vendor remained in the market, his eerie smile never fading. And once again, the red dress was back on display. This time, a young woman named Rachel saw it. Unlike the others, Rachel was different. She was cautious and deeply curious about things. She had heard the rumors and decided to investigate. She approached the vendor. "Why does this dress keep returning?" she asked. The old man chuckled. "Because it chooses its next owner," he said simply. Rachel felt a shiver. "What do you mean?" The vendor leaned closer. "Some gifts are not meant to be taken," he whispered. "But humans always want what looks beautiful." Rachel didn't take the dress that day. Instead, she went home and searched for answers. She asked the oldest people in town if they had ever heard of a cursed dress. Finally, she found an old woman who knew the story. Many years ago, a jealous seamstress made that dress for a princess, the woman explained. But she was filled with anger. She cursed it, so that any woman who wore it would disappear into the shadows forever. Rachel's eyes widened. Then why is the dress still here? The old woman sighed. Because the curse lives on, and it will keep taking souls until someone destroys it. Rachel knew she had to act fast. The next morning, she returned to the marketplace. The vendor was there, as always, the red dress hanging on display. Rachel took a deep breath. "I want to buy the dress," she said. The old man raised an eyebrow. "It is not for sale," he said, "but I will give it to you if you dare take it." Rachel nodded. She took the dress and left, but she had no intention of wearing it. That night, Rachel prepared a fire. She placed the dress on the ground and took a deep breath. "Let this curse end today," she whispered. She struck a match and dropped it on the dress. The flames roared to life, but something strange happened. The fire turned blue, then green. A loud scream echoed through the air. The dress twisted and moved as if it was alive. Rachel covered her ears. The wind howled, and the sky turned dark. But she didn't stop. She kept watching until the dress turned to ashes. The moment the dress was gone, the air felt lighter. The shadows disappeared, and far away, in the darkness, 2 faint figures appeared, Jessica and Angela. They were free. The curse had been broken. The next day, Rachel returned to the marketplace. The vendor's stall was gone. The town was safe again, and from that day on, no one ever saw the mysterious red dress again. Rachel had learned an important lesson. Not everything beautiful is a blessing. Some gifts come with a price, and sometimes the things we desire the most are the things that destroy us. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Storytime with African Tales for more thrilling stories.